live and in living color from the Radio What Studios. And this is my podcast, What Makes You Smarter. It's an extension of the RadioWhat.com internet radio station that I've been running for quite some time. And if you need DJ services, where do you go? DJLittleRock.com. One more time, DJLittleRock.com. Check availability and get a free price quote, and maybe you could have me at your next event. You know, I like to party with the people. Yeah, I do. I really, really do. This week's shows, well, I got to talk about last night. First of all, another wedding, another successful wedding at the Meadow on the Mountain in Atkins, Arkansas. If you're looking for a wedding venue anywhere in Arkansas, anywhere in the, well, I guess it's in the River Valley portion of Arkansas, but I think for miles around, people can come to the Meadow on the Mountain. It's a beautiful place. It's a beautiful place. And let me tell you, that staff runs it ship shape. There are things going on behind the scenes that you would never know as the bride and groom, or as the, I guess you could have any type of event there, or many kinds of events, birthday parties but definitely weddings. Weddings, it's what it's made for. It's called the Meadow on the Mountain. There's a big meadow, and then you're looking down off the mountain. So it's a barn, but it's not just any run-of-the-mill barn. It's a beautiful place. But I have a lot of fun going there, that's for sure. And the couple were just wonderful. What a great party. What a great time. Meadow on the Mountain. I look forward to going back there again. You know I like weddings. You know I do. I get to be a part of the day. I get to be a part of your special day. All right, party people. This week's shows, I'll be at the Cedar Lounge on Thursday night. That's my newest public show. It's the video dance party karaoke jam at Cedar Lounge Bar and Grill in Morrilton, Arkansas. So if you're anywhere in the area on Thursday night, I encourage you, come on out to the party patio. Yeah, it's outside, open air. It is covered, so you're not going to get hit by the elements in case it starts raining. But, I think it keeps us a little safer. If you're having, some worries about coronavirus, if you're really, really worried, I encourage you to stay home. I'm not going to tell you, you have to come out and do your part to make sure that this party gets bigger and bigger. But I do, if you're not feeling apprehensive and you feel like your immune system is pretty strong, come on out. Come on out. We're fully aware. I'm fully aware that there's a disease out there with no cure, but I think we're going to make it through for the most part. And with 8 million infections in the U.S., is that what it was? I can't remember exactly, but I'm sure I'll read about it in the 10 things you need to know today that comes out pretty soon. I'll read something about coronavirus, but millions and millions and millions of people infected and 200,000 dead, unfortunately. But I think the numbers are starting to dwindle in the percentage of people that are getting it and succumbing to it. Most people are asymptomatic, but the thing that I worry about the most is that if I get it and then I give it to somebody else and then they get really ill. So, we're taking precautions. Wear a mask when you're dealing with people. Wear a mask when you're walking around. But while you're sitting down having your drinky drinks and the good food, oh my goodness, the good food at Cedar Lounge. They sent me home with a steak a couple weeks ago. I'm still thinking about that steak. It was delicious. But yeah, come on out and sing. I'm sanitizing the microphones between singers. So yeah. It's a good time. Cedar Lounge, Bar and Grill, Thursday night, 6 to 10. Be there. And then on Friday night, my usual Friday night gig, it's the Rab in Conway, Arkansas. The place to be. 8 p.m. until 1 in the a.m. Full bar, kitchens open, pool tables, pool tournament on Friday nights. Oh, yeah. Do you want to try to make some money playing pool? I encourage you to check out the Rab on Friday nights. Yeah. Good times. And also the same thing with the mask. Wear a mask when you're walking in and when you're interacting with people, but while you're sitting down having your drinky drinks and your good food, you can take the mask down. Totally. And I'm sanitizing between all the singers, so we're keeping each other safe. And then Saturday night, oh yeah, another wedding. Love it. Weddings are back, baby. Weddings are my specialty. Video dance party karaoke jam. I don't know. I always put the video screen up. If people, like last night, people said, hey, that video screen, Is that for karaoke? I said, if the bride wants it. And that's who I determined whether I'm going to have karaoke or not, because karaoke can be hit and miss at weddings. It's all up to the bride and groom for sure, and mostly the bride. Right? Am I right? Am I right? I'm right. I'm right. It's mostly the bride. And as long as she says it's a go, it's a go. And last night, it was a go. So I had the microphones and the screen up. Now, the screen, I put it up. I'll put your logo up there. I'll put some music videos up there to add a little flavor, as long as they're appropriate. If not, I'll cover it up with your logo and people will be listening to the music. But if it's a video that people can watch, for little kids all the way to older folks that might have sensitive eyes. And the older folks that claim to have sensitive eyes, I think they've seen it all. They've seen more than you think they have. And but hey, to each his own. I don't want to make anybody upset with the things I play on the screen. And I play whatever music you want me to play when I'm doing weddings. It's not about me. It's all about you. Yeah, I'll be your human jukebox. For sure, man, for sure. I just want everybody to have a good time, and I want your wedding to be the greatest day ever, the best day ever. Yeah, looking forward to it. More weddings coming up. All right, let's see. Also, if you'd like to tell your story or hear the stories of others, I encourage you to check out my other podcast, What Makes You Famous. Find it everywhere using the hashtag What Makes You Famous. Now, on with the show. Today on the program, 10 things you need to know today for Sunday, October 18th, 2020. My sister Rachel's birthday. Happy birthday, Rachel. Happy birthday. 10 things you need to know today. Number 1, Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer slams Trump for presiding over lock her up chant at rally. Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer, Democrat, slammed President Trump for his, quote, rhetoric, end quote, after he took aim at her during his rally in the state on Saturday, just weeks after the FBI thwarted an elaborate plot to kidnap the governor. Quote, be careful of her and her attorney general because they're like in charge of the ballot stuff, end quote, Trump said, prompting his crowd to chant, quote, lock her up, end quote. Quote, lock them all up, end quote. Trump told the crowd. Whitmer responded on Twitter, quote, this is exactly the rhetoric that has put me, my family, and other government officials' lives in danger while we try to save the lives of our fellow Americans, end quote, she wrote. Quote, it needs to stop, end quote. Lara Trump, a campaign surrogate, claimed her father-in-law was just, quote, having fun, end quote. This is according to USA Today and Politico. Number 2, Pelosi gives the White House a 48-hour deadline to address differences in stimulus talks. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, Democrat, California, has reportedly given the White House a deadline of 48 hours to address an, quote, array of differences, end quote, in stimulus negotiations. Pelosi and Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin spoke for an hour and 15 minutes on Saturday night with the agreement of speaking again on Monday about a package helping the economy through the COVID-19 crisis. Quote, while there was some encouraging news on testing, there remains work to do to ensure additional measures to address the virus's disproportionate impact on communities of color, end quote. Pelosi's Deputy Chief of Staff, Drew Hamel, said in a tweet. Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, Republican Kentucky, meanwhile, quote, has said he would not put a potential $1.8 trillion deal struck by Democrats and the Trump administration on the Senate floor, end quote, Axios reports. This is according to Axios and Bloomberg. Number 3, COVID-19 cases are only improving in 2 states. Just 2 states in the country are seeing COVID-19 cases, quote, trending in the right direction, end quote, CNN reports. Missouri and Vermont were alone in the recording a more than 10% improvement in the average number of cases reported over the last week. Cases rose between 10 and 50% in 27 other states and increased by more than 50% in Connecticut and Florida. The rest of the states saw their new cases remaining steady. On Friday, the United States reported its highest number of new COVID-19 cases since July, with more than 69,000 new cases on October 16th. The CDC's forecast predicts 3,400 to 7,100 new deaths from the disease will, quote, likely, end quote, be reported during the week of the election. This is according to CNN and the CDC. Number 4, Joe Biden massively outpaces Trump in a TV spending. Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden is, quote, vastly outspending, end quote, President Trump in television advertising 2 weeks out from the election, the New York Times reports. Biden's biggest edges are in the swing states of Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, where he outpaced Trump $53 million to $17 million in the past month. He ran 38 different campaign ads during a single week in October in Pennsylvania alone. Biden aides, however, have warned against their candidate getting too comfortable. Quote, the very searing truth is that Donald Trump can still win this race, and every indication we have shows that this thing is going to come down to the wire, end quote. Biden's campaign manager, Jen O'Malley Dillon, wrote in a memo to supporters. This is according to the New York Times and the Washington Post. Number 5, UN weapons embargo on Iran lifts after 13 years. A 13-year-old United Nations embargo on Iran that blocked the nation from buying and selling weapons expired on Sunday, despite U.S. protests. Iran's Foreign Affairs Minister, Javad Zarif, called the occasion a, quote, momentous day for the international community in defiance of the U.S. regime's effort, end quote. The U.S. Defense Intelligence Agency claimed last year that if the embargo was allowed to expire, as was in keeping with the 5-year timetable described by the 2015 Iran nuclear deal, then Iran would potentially attempt to purchase fighter jets, anti-aircraft missiles, and tanks from Russia or other arms from China. Iran has insisted it has no plans for a, quote, buying spree, end quote, and some experts say that the country is, quote, more likely to purchase small numbers of advanced weapon systems, end quote. This is according to the Guardian reports and the Associated Press. Number 6, thousands attend Women's March against Judge Amy Coney Barrett. Thousands of people participated in the Women's March in Washington, D.C. on Saturday to protest President Trump's nomination of Judge Amy Coney Barrett to the Supreme Court. Quote, his presidency began with women marching and now is going to end with women voting, period, end quote, said Rachel O'Leary Carmona, the executive director of Women's March. Protesters were required to wear masks, and some also wore handmaids' costumes or dressed like Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Quote, I am very, very fearful of our democracy, end quote, one protester told CNN. Quote, I thought it was thriving and nothing could ever happen, but clearly it's a lot more fragile than we understood it to be, end quote. Barrett's confirmation hearings took place last week, with Senate Judiciary Committee vote expected October 22nd. This is according to CNN and the New York Times. Number 7, early voting continues to break records. Early voting continues to break records, with more than 26 million people having cast their ballots in the presidential election as of Saturday, NPR reports. That is more than 6 times the number of votes that were cast at this same point in 2016, and represents more than 16% of all the votes cast that year as well. Quote, despite concerns, things are going at this point reasonably well, end quote, said former Deputy Postmaster General Ronald Stroman of Voting by Mail. Democrats make up the majority of the early votes, as was forecasted, representing about 53% of those who have returned their ballots. Quote, the Republican numbers are going to pick up, end quote. GOP pollster John Covillion who is tracking early voting, told the Associated Press, quote, "The question is at what velocity and when," end quote. This is according to NPR and the Associated Press. Number 8, right-wing free speech demonstrators clash with counter-protesters in San Francisco. 6 people were injured, including 3 police officers, after a conservative free speech protest devolved in San Francisco on Saturday. Team Save America, a right-wing group, said it was protesting Twitter over the censorship of conservative speech. The rally was met by counter-protesters with signs that read, quote, "Smash fascism," end quote, and, quote, "Nazi Trump F off," end quote. Philip Anderson, one of the event organizers, claimed counter-protesters attacked him, quote, "for no reason," end quote, posting photos of his bloody mouth with a front tooth missing. Anderson said people like the counter-protesters are why he's voting for President Trump in the election. Quote, "I love America, I love this country, and I love free speech," end quote, he said. This is according to the San Francisco Chronicle and the Associated Press. Number 9, Saturday Night Live slams host network NBC in cold open. Saturday Night Live managed to get in a few digs at its host network NBC over President Trump's controversial town hall last week. More than 100 Hollywood writers and stars had signed a letter asking NBC Universal to reverse the decision to hold a dueling town hall debate with Trump at exactly the same time that ABC was set to host its own town hall with Joe Biden. The October 17th episode of SNL used the snafu as comic fodder. Quote, "One town hall was a thoughtful, cogent, C-O-G-E-N-T, cogent discussion of the issues facing our country. The other featured President Trump," end quote. The cold open began. SNL went on to recreate both town halls and announced Trump's portion with a scroll that read, quote, "NBC laid a thirst trap for President Trump," end quote. This is according to the Hollywood Reporter and Variety. Number 10, Tampa Bay Rays clinch World Series spot. The Tampa Bay Rays clinched the American League title and advanced to the World Series on Saturday night, overcoming the Houston Astros 4-2 in the 7th game of the series. It will be the Rays' second ever World Series in their 23-year history and their first in 12 seasons. The team will play for what would be its first ever title beginning Tuesday in Arlington, Texas, against the winner of the National League Championship Series between the Atlanta Braves and the Los Angeles Dodgers. The chance of another championship marks a big moment for the city of Tampa Bay, Florida, whose NHL team, the Tampa Bay Lightning, won the Stanley Cup in September. This is according to the Tampa Bay Times. That's 10 things you need to know today for Sunday, October 18th, 2020. Once again, it's my sister Rachel's birthday. Happy birthday, Rachel. This has been What Makes You Smarter. I'm Keys Dan, trying to fill my head with knowledge. Keep it up with, if you like the sound of my voice and you like what I'm saying, you follow along with me. If not, hey, there's other places to find your news. In fact, I encourage you to find your news in other places. I'm just giving you some brief topics, and use the footnotes and research more for sure. Don't use me as your only source of news. I'm just giving you the tidbits, the pointers, the things you need to know today, so to speak. Also, if you'd like to watch me do some online game streaming, I encourage you to do so. Check out the hashtag KeysDanGaming, hashtag KeysDanGaming, and you can find me on Twitch and Facebook Gaming. I know I was on YouTube. Every once in a while you'll find me on YouTube, but give a like, give a share, and suggest what game should I be playing. What do you think I'd be interested in? I've been playing a lot of Fortnite, and I've been playing Rocket League, which is cars playing soccer. It's pretty fun, I'll tell you. But there's other games out there, and maybe you can enlighten me. Also, I like having conversation with people, so if you'd like to tell your story or hear the stories of others, I encourage you to check out my other podcast, What Makes You Famous. Find it everywhere using the hashtag What Makes You Famous. That's it for me. It's Keys Dan. RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com. Peace.